What's up, everybody? Thanks as always for supporting the show. It would mean a lot to me if you would take a second to scroll down and hit that subscribe button to the Hoops Tonight YouTube channel, and then follow me on social media on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter so you guys don't miss any of our content over the course of this season. All right, let's talk some basketball. Our second quarterfinal game, Canada versus France. France came out with just incredibly stifling defense. By the way, I mentioned that defense number earlier in the half court with Team USA. France has been the second best half-court defense so far in FIBA. Germany's been the second best overall defense, and France has been the second best half-court defense. Victor Wembanyama was playing a high drop coverage and was getting a bunch of deflections early. At a certain point, Canada just straight up stopped bringing Wemby into ball screens because of the problems he was causing up at the level of the screen. Nick Batum did a really nice job on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's got the length to contest pull-up jump shots, and he was timing Shai's pull-up really well. Shai, obviously still one of the best players in the world, found a way to get his points. I think he had like 27 or 29 or something like that, but I thought Batum defended him pretty well. Overall, Canada just came out guns blazing on the defensive end of the floor. And then on the offensive end of the floor, they just played through the post, and Canada was switching screens. And so like they would run action and get Shai Gilgeous-Alexander switched on to Guerschon Yabusele and just throw it down into him on the block. And then from there, like he would just kind of bully his way to the basket. He bullied his way right to the front of the rim on Shai for a layup. They were passing really well out of the post, both Victor Wembanyama and Guerschon Yabusele. The first bucket of the game, Wemby on the left block, just backing down and dragged I want to say Dwight Powell was guarding Yabusele, dragged Dwight Powell into the lane, and then Yabusele was wide open on the right wing, and Wemby just hit him with a beautiful pass, knocks down the three. Yabusele was, I believe it was Shai, was bullying Shai another time, drew in a second defender, really nice drop-off pass to Isaiah Cordinier, and he ended up getting a little dunk on the baseline. Then Victor Wembanyama did the same thing, off the left block, catching, posting. Isaiah Cordinier just cuts really hard off of the slot. Wemby hits him, he draws a foul. That was like a big part of what's made France's offense work despite having limited perimeter initiators is a lot of action through Wembanyama, allowing him to function as a passer. And then obviously Yabusele has been able to bully some of Canada's guards as well. Isaiah Cordinier was huge early in this game. I talked about him cutting off of post-ups and getting a dunk and then a foul. He also hit two like off-the-dribble transition pull-up threes that were massive. That put France up 17-5 to start the game. And then from there, Canada was basically fighting uphill the rest of the way. And they kind of lingered in that 5 to 7 point range. But down the stretch, Evan Fournier, guy who only had one made field goal in the first three quarters, hits three shots in the final 4 minutes, hits a bomb three off the right wing, another Victor Wembanyama post up, another double team from one pass away, another nice pass from Victor, and Fournier hits that bomb. He had a floater. It was kind of a weird play. It was an offensive foul, but they counted the basket. He had a driving floater at one point. It's a huge shot. That was right after a big block from Victor Wembanyama too. There was this play where Dillon Brooks was posting up on the like kind of left elbow extended area, and Victor just straight up abandoned his man as Dillon was turning and like straight up threw a double team at Dillon Brooks and then blocked him on a fadeaway. And that's kind of like that thing I talk about a lot on the show, like defensive playmaking, which is essentially like outside of the game plan, but seeing an opportunity and like trying to be aggressive. Like it's not like France is on the sideline like, hey, Victor, if Dillon Brooks takes a fadeaway, you should double team, because Dillon Brooks is not that good of a shooter. It's a shot you live with the results. But hey, like, yeah, Victor just saw an opportunity. He was like, I don't think Dillon sees the floor right now, and I think I can block this shot. And he went for it and got a huge stop for them. And then they went down and scored. And then Evan Fournier hits another bomb three, this time on the left wing from like 35 feet. And now France is advancing to play Germany in the semifinals. Really impressed by Victor Wembanyama. I think he only had something like 7 points. Like he didn't have a high scoring night, but he was dominant in this game defensively and dominant as a passer. France is a team that, especially with the home court advantage piece and with how hard they play on defense, they can be pretty tough to hang with. And then Gobert had a hand injury, like a finger injury, but their coach said that they actually went away from Gobert and played Wemby at the 5 specifically for the matchup. And I thought that was really smart for the Canada matchup in particular, especially with how good Canada is on the perimeter defensively. Like playing two bigs could really gum things up for you offensively. And And because Yabusele is just a little more skilled offensively, can catch and finish a lot better, can knock down 3-point shots. It just kind of gave them a more dynamic front court with those two guys. I thought that was the right call. Last note from this game, Jamal Murray was legitimately awful. He had 7 points on 13 shots. He had 1 assist and 3 turnovers. That's not good when you have 13 shot attempts and 3 turnovers and it generates literally 9 points. Like, that's just not going to get it done. He came out the gates right when he checked into the game. He was over penetrating and then trying to throw these cross body passes that French dudes were just shooting the gap and getting steals and running out in transition the other way. He can't get separation. He's not hitting his jump shot. He just looks slow when he looks out of shape, which, I've been telling you guys, some of the stuff I hear from the people that I trust who are Denver fans and who cover the Nuggets, that's kind of the thing on Jamal right now, is he kind of shows up to this kind of stuff out of shape and tries to play his way into shape, and it's really bitten him on the ass in this tournament here at the Olympics. It looks like the game's moving too fast for him. I'm not sure if it's conditioning. I'm not sure if it's an injury that we're not sure about or what's going on, but I'd be just a little bit worried about Jamal Murray if I was a Nuggets fan. Hopefully the embarrassment from this tournament leads him to really hit the gym hard over the course of the next couple of months so that he can come into camp ready to rock and roll. Serbia, Australia. Australia came out red hot. They were hitting a ton of jumpers, especially from the mid-range. Both Patty Mills and Josh Giddey had all those little pick and roll shots going, the Giddey's floater. Patty Mills is little kind of drifting short mid-range jump shots. And Australia went up by 24 points in the first half. They, for the game, got 1.22 points per jump shot, and Serbia only got 0.87. So that was kind of the big swing factor in this particular game, is just Serbia didn't shoot well and Australia shot super well. But Serbia slowly worked their way back into it. They really stepped up their defensive pressure on the perimeter. This is something I've been impressed with Serbia through this entire tournament and even into the exhibitions. For a team that doesn't have a lot of athleticism on the perimeter, they play really hard. And they actually can be pretty disruptive just with the level of intensity that they bring on the perimeter. Jokic stepped up his defensive pressure. He was really active in a high drop coverage instead of dropping back and letting Giddey and Patty Mills get into the short range. He was up at the level, being active with his hands. That actually ended up leading into switches, which became a big deal in crunch time, which we'll get to in a minute. The other thing that really spearheaded the Serbia comeback was the offensive glass. They had 10 offensive rebounds in the second and third quarters while they were making the comeback. Just really aggressive to the rim. Guys just making extra efforts, tap out rebounds, that kind of stuff. Just buying extra possessions as they tried to generate chaos to get back in the game. They ended up cutting the lead to 60-59 with a couple of threes. And then the game really settled into kind of a classic rock fight from there. It was tied at 78 after a Josh Giddey left corner three. And then Josh Giddey foolishly just hacked down on Vasilije Micic on a 3-point shot towards the end of the shot clock. That puts Serbia up 81-78. Josh Giddey ends up hitting this kind of crazy one-legged floating, rising jump shot on the left side of the floor that cuts it to 81-80. And then it turned into classic rock fight basketball where neither team could get a bucket. Bogdanovic missed a mid-range shot. Micic missed a mid-range shot. On the other end, Giddey missed one of his floaters that he usually makes. Patty Mills missed a pretty tough shot from the mid-range, so it's kind of just stuck in the mud. And then Nikola Jokic made a big play. It got a guard on a switch and hit him with a spin move, and that kind of forced Jock Landale to step up a little bit. And so he threw a really nice over-the-top pass to a baseline cutter, who I think was Vasilije Micic again. He ended up going 1 for 2 from the line, so Serbia was up 82-80. And then Patty Mills gets Nikola Jokic on a switch and hits. Jokic defended it really well, straight up smothered him on a step-back 18-footer from the left elbow extended, and Patty just sunk the shot. It was a throwback Patty Mills night. You got a tip of the cap to him. He had 26 points in this one. That sent the game to OT, and then Australia came out really hot in OT. We're hitting shots, and they were actually up by 3 with about 2.5 minutes left after Josh Giddey hit another big step-back 3 over Jokic in a switch. And that's where Jokic really took over the game. From when Australia went up, I think they went up 90-87. And then Jokic just completely takes over the game. He gets a couple of huge stops on switches. He gets Giddey. Giddey had just hit a step back 3 on him, right? So this time he pressed up a little bit and kind of shaded his right hand because if he forces him to the left, Giddey always likes to get back to that right hand to finish because he really likes to go to the floater. So he kind of like shaded up on Giddey's left hand up high enough to contest the step back that forced Giddey to drive. He made a couple of really nice slides to beat him to the spot. And then when Giddey went back to his right hand on the left side of the rim, Jokic was able to easily block that shot. That actually led to a run out the other way and a foul. So Serbia cut it to 90-89. So basically like a 4-point swing on Nikola Jokic making a huge play on a switch. Then he gets another huge a stop, this time against Patty Mills. Gets switched out on Patty Mills, and this was where kind of FIBA rules took over. Patty actually beat Jokic off the dribble, got all the way to the rim, and had an easy layup, and it would have gone in, but the layup had some spin on it. It was coming around the rim. It was going to kind of toilet bowl its way into the basket. Jokic makes an extra effort, comes flying in, and swats the ball off the top of the rim. It's just kind of an unusual play that you're not used to seeing in the NBA, obviously, with the rules, but another huge play from Jokic to get a stop against Patty Mills. And then Jokic actually went down and turned it over. Patty Mills goes down. Jokic swipes it from Patty Mills again. So even though it was off of a Jokic mistake, 3 massive defensive plays from Nikola Jokic in a row. And then there was kind of like a little bit of a chaotic sequence, a little 2-man game on the left wing with Jokic that worked downhill, hit a baseline cutter. As the baseline cutter came around, Jokic relocated right to kind of the front of the rim. Baseline cutter dropped it off to Jokic. He hit his patented little left shoulder hook that he hits like 75% of the time. And that put Serbia up by 1. And then Giddey actually ended up getting Jokic on a switch again and wanted nothing to do with it. As soon as he got Jokic on the switch, he just picked up his dribble, passed out of it, and McVeigh ended up missing a baseline jump shot for Australia. And then Jokic just ices the game on the right block, patented Nikola Jokic left shoulder one leg fadeaway, or the somber shuffle as you guys know it, where he kind of fades over his left shoulder but then steps back and comes off, lifts his left knee up and just hits that little drifting jumper on the baseline. That put Serbia up 3. Australia turned it over on the inbounds on the other end of the floor, and Australia is eliminated, and Serbia is advancing to the semifinals. Just Jokic, just classic best player in the world stuff there down the stretch of that game. Is really, really fun to watch as Serbia advances. And then the last game, I'm not going to spend too much time on this one because I only caught the second half of it. But Greece was up by 5 at one point in the mid-third third quarter, and Franz Wagner really, really looked good down the stretch of this game. Super confident with his jump shot. All of a sudden in the second half, he hasn't shot well in FIBA, but he hit a huge step back 3, hit a really nice right shoulder fadeaway, tough shots. He had another kind of spinning left shoulder hook on another drive on the left side. These were those little mid-range shots that he was missing in the Cavs series. And so between that and just how confident he looked hunting his jump shot, he got fouled on a step back 3 on the left wing where he confidently went into it, and the defender knew he felt good, so he was really out on it, and he ended up drawing a foul. I thought that was kind of encouraging, even in a very small sample size, just because of how poor of a shooting season Franz Wagner had last year and how poor he shot the ball in FIBA up until this particular game. And Germany defended Giannis really well. They built the wall. They got back on transition. They rotated to shooters, and they've looked really good in this tournament. Like I mentioned earlier, they have been the second best overall defense in the tournament behind USA. My predictions for the semifinals: Germany is a 4.5-point favorite over France. They're the better team, especially with their perimeter initiators like Franz Wagner and Dennis Schroeder are just a level above what you're going to get in terms of Evan Fournier and Frank Ntilikina and those guys initiating offense for France. But then again, the home court advantage thing and just how hard France plays on defense, I could see that game going either way. Germany is a 4.5-point favorite. I will pick Germany for now, but I could see that game going either way. And then, like I mentioned earlier, USA is a 17.5-point favorite against Serbia. Worth mentioning, both of the first 2 matchups between Serbia and the USA were pretty close for the first half. And then generally, they've played USA really close with Jokic on the floor. So look for Jokic to step up his minutes. Look for that to be a really physical and intense game. But Team USA, I expect to really put their foot to the pedal to the metal, and they're just playing really good basketball right now. So I think they'll end up getting it done, and I think we'll end up getting USA-Germany in the final.